All right, let's get started. Hey everyone, and welcome to Documents in ForeFlight. This is our second webinar in the ForeFlight on Frequency webinar series, and this will be our first webinar that's focused on business aviation. So we're hoping that all of you will get some good pointers and learn some really good information about how to use ForeFlight documents with your business account. That includes what is available with ForeFlight documents, what sorts of documents are available by default, how you can set up a cloud documents account to automatically upload documents that your pilots and crew need through a cloud storage account like Dropbox, and also how to use Dropbox or how to use documents with ForeFlight Dispatch, which takes that cloud documents capability one step further and allows you to actually attach documents to specific flights. So we're going to get into all of that as part of this webinar. Now, hosting this webinar today will be Caitlin Galloway. She is ForeFlight's customer success team lead, and she gives presentations like this to new customers and existing customers all the time. So she's used to this kind of, helpful tutorial sort of presentation. We also have as commentators Ben Morgan, who is one of ForeFlight's enterprise accounts executives. He's one of our sales representatives, and so he, of course, is deeply involved in helping get customers and prospective customers, helping them learn about our documents capabilities and other capabilities. And finally, we have Brent Halavati. He is a member of ForeFlight's customer success team, and he is a Part 135 ATP rated pilot. So he also uses ForeFlight's documents more from the pilot's perspective, which will allow him to offer some really helpful commentary as part of this presentation. So with that, I will hand it over to Caitlin to take us off.
Thanks, Sam. So as Sam mentioned, I'm Caitlin Galloway. I'm the Customer Success Manager here at ForeFlight. And today we're going to talk about ForeFlight documents. And we're just going to kind of do a pretty big overview of a lot of the different capabilities that are available in ForeFlight. So just to give you kind of an overview here, ForeFlight documents is supported on the iPad, has been for a while, and we recently also added support for the iPhone. Definitely would encourage you to make sure that you are running the latest version of ForeFlight on your iPhone so you can see that. We offer smart document support, and our current providers are Dropbox, Amazon S3, and Box. And this is mostly one of the things we're going to focus on today. When you do connect a smart document folder, we do also offer compliance management. So you on a business account can take a look and make sure that all of your users have all of their documents up to date. We're also going to cover some of the built-in document drives that we provide depending on your subscription and what's included in ForeFlight. So let's get started. The first place we're going to start is ForeFlight on the web. So if you're the administrator of an account, this is something you would do at the top level. And what you would do is click on the admin button on the left sidebar. So you may find yourself on a different page, but just look for that. Either it'll have your name maybe or user. So go ahead and click in there, and this is the first view that you'll see. So once we click in here, we can manage a lot of different things on the account, but where we're going to focus today is on the integrations tab at the top center there. Once we get into the integrations tab, I just want to mention all of the integrations that are available here. We're going to focus on the Smart Documents integration today, but we also can manage our Jeppesen subscription. So if you have a Jeppesen subscription you want to link, you can see I already have one connected. So on the right, it's showing me manage instead of connect. But you can get in there and take a look at that. And you can also connect to your Flightaware account. So especially if you have a blocked tail number, you can link your Flightaware account to receive expected route notifications in ForeFlight. So going back to documents, let's go ahead and click connect. And if you haven't done this before, this is kind of the starting place to link you up. And we're going to focus on Dropbox today. So the first thing we're going to want to do is put in a catalog name. And we want to make sure that this is something really obvious. Ben, do you want to add something on that?
Yeah, thanks, Caitlin. So right here in this catalog name box, you'll want to just put something like the name of your company, required documents I see often, just something that's going to pop out. And this will be indexed within the documents in the drives area, which Caitlin will cover very soon. So that's step number one, and hand it back to you, Caitlin.
Thanks, Ben. So I'm doing this in all caps. I'm just making a really obvious ForeFlight company docs. And as I mentioned, we're gonna use Dropbox today as our example, but we do have some other providers. So depending on what you're using, you can choose that. And then you're gonna hit create at the bottom left of this window. Once we do that, it's gonna take you over to Dropbox, and you're gonna get a pop-up that looks something like this. And you're gonna choose which Dropbox account you wanna connect with. I've got two here. Because I have a business account, but you can use a free account. You know, as long as you don't need too much storage space, you can use a free Dropbox account. And that's what I did here. I'm going to connect to my personal account and authorize the integration. And now we're back on ForeFlight Web, and you can see at the top there, our Dropbox account is now linked. And once we've got this connected, you'll see there's some sharing options here as well. So you can give permission for all users on the account to email documents, print documents, and automatic documents download. You definitely want to have this on just to make sure that those documents are going to show up just like any of their other chart downloads. It'll just automatically be downloaded to their devices. They don't need to go look for this stuff and download it.
Exactly. Caitlin, I'll jump in here real quick and just add that you can use any Dropbox account, and it doesn't need to be, you know, if you have personal or other documents or files in there, the pilots will not see anything but the linked ForeFlight company docs folder. So everything that gets dumped into there is the only thing they'll see. They won't see the username on that Dropbox account. It's a very simple integration. So just want to point that out.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. And from here, let's take a look over on Dropbox. So I went to dropbox.com. I'm already signed into my Dropbox account. And what you'll notice after you make this integration is that you have this apps folder. So you want to look for that apps folder. And then once you click into the apps folder, you'll see a folder for ForeFlight. And so this is where you're going to want to put all of your documents. And like Ben said, this is the only thing that they're going to see. So even if you have other folders, no problem, you know, only the ForeFlight folder will be shared with all the users. So when I open that up, it's currently empty. I'm going to click upload a folder on the right side here. And I already have a folder that I've prepped on my desktop. So I've got this one called company documents, and it's got a couple of subfolders within it and just some other documents. So I'm going to go ahead and upload that. And it's confirming I want to upload these files. I say yes. And at the bottom there, we can see that those files are getting uploaded to our Dropbox. And sometimes this can take some time, right? It depends on the size of the documents, how much you're uploading here, but you can just take some time to do this. And once they're all done, you'll see this company documents. That's exactly what I called it. And if I click into there just to view what's there are my subfolders and my other documents. And now that I've put these in here, they will be transmitted to all users on my business account. So what I'm going to do now is switch over to my iPad and show you what this looks like from a pilot's perspective. All right, so now we're over on the iPad. And the first place I want to look, since we just did this Dropbox integration, is on the left here, we've got ForeFlight company documents. There's that title that I set myself. And now that we've got that there, we can tap in here. And there's those subfolders. So depending on maybe what aircraft I fly, maybe I don't need all of this. I can choose, I can favorite this folder, add this to my own binder. So if let's see here, tap here, I can take a look at this and it's already here. And those documents can be organized kind of any way you want, any subfolders, anything like that. Ben or Brent, do you want to say anything about this specific drive?
Sure. Yeah, this is it's really nice to be able to know that all your documents that you put into that nested Dropbox folder will automatically, without any other input, be distributed to your entire flight department. And that also goes for, if you supersede a certain document, you need to replace it, you would simply remove that and then put the new one into that folder. And it would, once it goes into that Dropbox folder, it's going to automatically replace that.
Yeah, it's a real easy way to distribute your updated op specs, or maybe limitations for an aircraft to all of your pilots, to make sure that it's available to them at any given time. Really makes it nice for document distribution. Make sure that you're in compliance on if there's a ramp check or any other documents required.
Thanks, guys. So this is the company folder, and you can see that it's at the top section of documents, which is My Drives. So anything that you connect personally or business-wise is going to show up in My Drives. And I just kind of want to walk through all of these different drives. So let's go up to imported. Now, I currently don't have anything imported here, but I want to show you how easy it is to do this. There's a couple of different ways. You can use iTunes, but the way that I usually do it is I'll email something to myself. So what I'm going to do is go to my mail, and I've got an email here from Brent that's got parking information for this airport. I'm going to tap on the image that he sent me, and I'm just going to go a little slow just for the quality of the webinar here, just to make sure you guys can see the steps. But once I'm looking at this image, I'm going to hit the Send To button at the top right, and I'm going to choose where I want to send it. I'm going to go to More, choose ForeFlight, and choose ForeFlight Documents. And now I've got this in my own imported binder right here in Documents. So it's just as easy as that to tap on an attachment and send it to ForeFlight, and then you've got it saved here. And right now, when you kind of open it up the first time, you're just going to have that one imported folder, but you can make even more binders. You can see at the top left, we can add a new binder. So if you wanted to make binders for specific airports, specific aircraft, really anything you can think of that you want to kind of get a little more organized, set it up your way, you can do that. And you can take things from other drives, like if you had a company document, you could add that to your own binder. You can get that organized. We already took a look at the shared document drive. So I'm going to go down to the included drives. Now, I've got quite a few over here on the left because I have the full subscription. So you may not be seeing this many, but you definitely would be seeing, probably, if you have a US subscription, you'll see the FAA one. If you have the Europe subscription, you'll see Eurocontrol. If you have the Canadian subscription, you'll see Nav Canada. And all of you will see the ForeFlight drive. So just to kind of show you a couple of things here, I'm going to focus on the US subscription. So if we go to FAA, there's multiple different ways you can view this. So right now we're looking kind of at the picture view, but if we tap at the top left of the picture view, we can change it to a list view. And then we can kind of quickly look through and say, oh, okay, maybe I want to have the fly charts. I'll go ahead and download those. I'll download the legends. So this is kind of, you can choose your own what you want to download. If you have a Jeppesen subscription connected, you will have access to the Jeppesen airway manuals and some other relevant documents in here. So I'll say, I can just go ahead and grab these. You can see I already have some downloaded, but yeah, you can come through here and download those documents, kind of make it however you want. If we go into the ForeFlight drive, I would definitely recommend that everyone downloads the pilot's guide. So it's a little bit down the list here. If I change it back to our picture view, it's at the bottom right. Definitely would encourage you to download that. If I tap into it, this is another really cool feature of ForeFlight. Any document that's indexed, you can hit that magnifying glass at the top right, and we can search. Let's say we want to search radar legend. And it's going to show me some options and a little preview of the image of that page on the left. And I can take a look and see, okay, maybe this is the page that I want. And now at least I'm in the right place, right? This is a big document. I really encourage you to do a keyword search. But once you do that, let's say, okay, I want to make sure I can get back to this really easily. You'll hit the ribbon at the top right next to the magnifying glass. And we could say radar legend, add that bookmark. And then whenever you want to come back to that, like let's say we go somewhere completely different in the pilot's guide, we want to get back to that, we'll hit that magnifying glass to search again. And instead of using search, we can definitely do that. We'll hit bookmarks. I'll tap on that bookmark and I'm back to that page. So yeah, definitely take a look at the drives that you have available. Make sure you have those resources downloaded, because once you do, they're saved to your device and you can pull those up at any time, including during flight. So a lot of really good information in there.
And on that note, Caitlin, just looking at the screen we have here, anything with a green check mark will be downloaded for offline use. So when in the cockpit and you don't have a solid internet connection, it's important to have those documents downloaded so that you can use them in flight. Anything with the blue check mark or with the blue download, not a blue check mark, but a blue download option will be available with an internet connection, so you don't have to use as much space on your iPad or iPhone. But anything that you think that you might be pertinent to flight or in flight, you need to download and make sure it has that green check marks before departure.
Yeah, definitely. And there's the resources that are already provided, but there's also things you can import in here, just documents you might want to have a digital copy of, just so you can have that on hand. Thanks, Brent. There is another really cool trick. If you're not at your laptop or your desktop and you don't have a chance to, open the Dropbox website, drop a document in, you can actually do that from your iPad or your iPhone. So what I'm going to do here is open up Safari.
Yeah, this is a great tool for, oh, go ahead, Caitlin.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this is a great tool for on the go. If there's a new document or information that you want to distribute to the entire team, and you're in the FBO or you're even on your iPhone, outside of the airport, away from all of your facilities, you can go to the web and locate a PDF. And when you go to, for example, in Safari, what Caitlin's showing you, we have a PC-12 brochure. Whatever you have, if you want to tap on that. The Share To feature in the iOS operating system is really great because it allows you to do not only share it via email or messaging, but now we have ForeFlight tied right into Dropbox. So when we tap that, it's going to allow us to hit Save Document. And once you have made the default save location the nested cloud folder that we linked, it will automatically go right to that folder every time. So we see that PC-12, or we can choose a different folder if we want to just put it in the broad folder for the flight department. We can just choose where we want it, and that's going to go right to all of the iPads, iPhones of our crew. So I really like that feature because I'm constantly searching for things that I need to reference later, and I want them on my iPad when I get into the airplane. So it's very easy and just a little trick of the trade there.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. And one thing to mention here is you want to make sure that you also have the Dropbox app downloaded to your iPad. So you want to have that Dropbox app be signed in, and then you can really easily just send a PDF, save anything that's on your iPad back to that company documents folder. All right, so what I'm going to do now is switch back over to the web again, and we're just going to talk about a few things there. All right, so earlier we were showing you some screenshots, but now we're on the live version of ForeFlight Web. And this is something specifically for administrators that I want you guys to take a look at. When you're in your admin view, you want to go to settings on the right here. And what you want to make sure of is that this compliance tool is switched on. And what that's going to do is whenever we go to our organization tab, take a look at our users and our devices, we can see a list of folks, and we can see the detail of making sure that their iOS version is up to date, that they have all their documents downloaded. So if we go into devices, we can see that detail. We can see the iOS version, the last time that they checked in on their app, the app version, and if something is missing, we can click on Docs, and it's going to show you exactly what is here. So if something is expired, if something is missing, you can see everything is downloaded on this pilot account that I've been on. But you can also see when those documents are going to expire. Ben, did you want to add anything about this compliance view?
Yeah, compliance view is a great tool just to stay aware of all the devices on your team. It's important to point out the organization page is also where you can cycle users in and out. If you have pilots leave the company and you hire a new pilot, this is the same place that you just simply click add user to invite them for their membership on the company account, and they would receive a password setup email right away and be off to the races with their new subscription for the company.
Thanks, Ben. Now, there's a couple other places I want to show. Now, this is where I'm going next is ForeFlight Dispatch, and this is a new tool. It is an addition to ForeFlight Mobile. If you haven't seen it, please reach out. Let us know. We'd be happy to let you check it out, give you a demo. I'm just going to focus on one flight here to show you the document capabilities in Dispatch. So since I have Dispatch activated, I have it at the top of my sidebar here. And I have a flight plan that I went ahead and made. So this is the one I'm going to use to do some document work here. So I'm going to hit edit. And I've already planned this, but maybe I need to add some files specifically to this flight. So what I'm going to do is go to the Files tab. And I have just a document that on my desktop that I'm going to drag in. It's a GenDoc. Now I can see that that document has been added. And when you plan a flight in Dispatch here on the web, you could be the pilot, you could be a planner. But what you're going to do is save this flight and release the flight. So when you release the flight, we've assigned the crew. It's going to go directly to them. And let me just make sure we've got that there. Yeah, looking good. So we've released the flight, we've saved it, we've got the files there. And again, this is something, dispatch specific, but just another way to get those files from the flight department, from the operations to the pilots. Let's go back to the iPad so I can show you that this is now there. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is a good way to add documents for, generally trip specific roles. Basically, if you, say you're making an international flight, or you have a specific passenger profiles, different operating specifications for a special event or something, it's a good way to put all these files into one place for the quick and easy for the flight crews to recognize them and address them for this specific flight. It really makes it, like I say, easy for either the pilot in command or your dispatching agent to add these files for all the crew members on board and anything that's pertinent to a single flight.
Thanks, Brent. And I'm showing my iPad now. You can see that this flight just showed up for me. So with dispatch, we have the power to share across the flight department, straight from the scheduling system to the planners, to the pilot, and the pilot's got all of this information that they need for their flight. Where I want to focus today is the Files tab at the top. So if I tap in here, there's that gen deck that I added on the web. It just automatically showed up here on my device. If for whatever reason, like if I made another flight here, I can also, let's see here, let me put it in.
Yeah, and while you're doing that, Caitlin, I'll just mention that when we did release that flight from dispatch, it didn't only deliver the files that we uploaded from Caitlin's desktop, the gen deck, or all those type of documents. It's also just delivering the briefing, the entire briefing, right to that pilot's iPad in one fell swoop. So the briefing's already been downloaded, those documents have already been downloaded, and that's one of the great new parts of dispatch as well.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, there's a lot that got shared. Definitely, we're focusing on the documents part, but there is a lot of information that can be transferred over. If I make a new flight plan manually myself, I can hit that Files button again, and I can add anything I want. I can grab something from ForeFlight documents, from my pictures, from my files. Let's see here. Let's say I want to grab something from here. I want to add this to my flight. And it's just that easy. And one thing I want to point out here is that the Files tool is specific to business performance. So if you're not seeing this, you may be on a Business Pro subscription. That's another thing you can reach out and talk to us about if you want to get more information. So if you're not seeing that, no worries, but that is business performance specific. In order to use the Smart Documents as a whole, you do need to be on a Business Pro subscription, which is our basic starting place for business subscriptions. So you're going to want to start there. And then again, if you want to have more features on top of that, you definitely want to take a look at business performance. All right, so I think we can go ahead and go over to Q&A.
All right.
Let me
thanks.
over there, Sam.
Sweet. Thanks for the great presentation, Caitlin. We've got a few questions that have been submitted so far, so I'll go ahead and read through a few of those. Question number one, how does one move a document from one folder to another in the company documents?
Sorry, Sam, can you say that again?
Sure. How does one move a document from one folder to another within the company documents? So within the linked Cloud Documents account.
So the biggest question there is, are they wanting to move that question from like internally within the Dropbox account? So the way I read that is, if you already have a Dropbox account internally and you have another file, say a specific file for a fleet that you want to add to your ForeFlight application window. So in that case, you would simply, Caitlin, if you want to, I don't know if you can there, just log back into your Dropbox account, and then be able to select one of your files there and move it into the app within ForeFlight.
It's important to point out that when you're on a business account, only one Dropbox can be synced, the parent account. If you wanted to import a document outside of that smart document from the admin or the chief pilot or whoever's managing those documents, you would do as Caitlin did before with the email it to yourself, or drop it through iTunes and so forth. So for the business side of things, only the parent account has the Dropbox, and then all the pilot accounts have that synced folder, but then they can upload and create their own binders and drives outside of that, but they'll always have access to those company shared documents.
Thanks, guys. Question number 2, are the documents automatically downloaded for offline viewing? And I can go ahead and just quickly speak to that. The answer is that it depends on whether or not a pilot has already manually downloaded some document or folder that has been shared with them. So if you have a linked cloud document drive, and it, for example, has multiple folders and multiple files within those folders, the way that it works is if a pilot goes and downloads one of those files or one of the entire folders, because one of the neat things about ForeFlight's documents view is you can just download the entire folder, not just all the individual files. And so if you choose to download the entire folder, then anytime anything in that folder is updated afterwards, it will automatically be downloaded for you. Now, if you do not download some file, or if you don't download some folder because, for example, it's intended for a group of pilots that maybe you're not part of, maybe as you saw with Caitlin's folder setup there, maybe you're not flying a PC-12 and so you have no reason to download that folder. If you don't download that folder, then those documents will not automatically be downloaded for you. So it's essentially a way where we allow individual pilots to choose which documents they need, and when they've chosen those documents, we will automatically update them whenever the admin swaps out any of those documents. But if they don't choose to download any folder or any document, then we will not automatically download it for them.
Yeah, and just to add to that, that's something we talked about when we made the Dropbox link, is that the admin can set those settings to where we can automatically download everything that we need, or you can let the pilots choose which folders they want to have.
Yeah, exactly. All right, next up, if I have a mess of things all in one folder in ForeFlight, I should upload all of them to Dropbox, rearrange them in Dropbox to my liking, then let them all update back into ForeFlight somehow. So he's essentially asking, is the Dropbox integration a good way to better organize the files that are currently all just thrown together haphazardly within a single folder in ForeFlight?
I would absolutely say yes. Ben,
Correct.
you can add on that if you want to.
Sure. Since we've begun this smart documents, cloud documents, for a number of years, we only had this kind of jumbled heap of files. And last year, we actually released a radical upgrade to that. We called it Documents 2.0, and that allowed us for all these different views on the documents, the reorganization of the files, cataloging them in any way you want. Tail number seems to be pretty popular, but then you can also have different types of documents, mandated company, op specs, MELs, GOMs, anything you need, arranged in the way you'd like it. So if you've had an older Dropbox account with us and you had that big, just a lot of files in the folder, you can now go in and rearrange and create folders. and those will reflect on the account. So.
Great. Okay, next up, what file types are supported by ForeFlight documents?
Yeah, so there are a ton of file types. You can find that in the pilot's guide and also on our website. But just a couple that are definitely the popular ones: PDF, Word document, picture files like JPEG, PNG, PowerPoint files, old and new, CSV files, and we also support pages and numbers for Mac. And there's a ton more in addition to that. But yeah, you can find that in the pilot's guide.
Yeah, we support a number of file types that I've never even heard of them before. So I'm sure they'll be useful for someone. Next question here. Next question is about, this is a really good question. So we've been talking about documents relating to business ForeFlight for a business account here, but this person is asking, is the organization tab, or I think what they mean really is the Dropbox tab, is that specific to business ForeFlight, or is it an add-on for a personal ForeFlight subscription?
Yeah, so oh, who was that?
Okay.
Was that Ben?
Oh,
you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I was just going to add the organization tab on plan.foreflight.com on ForeFlight on the web indicates that this account is either a business pro or a business performance account, and that's where you'd see all the pilots that are part of the organization and their email addresses and their devices. I think that's what the question was.
Yeah,
Ben,
you're totally right, Ben.
Yeah.
If I can add to that, if someone is wondering if there are any individuals on this call not on a business account, if you have Pro Plus or Performance Plus, you can use, if you go to that admin view, that kind of where you see your name there, not the organization tab, but the one below it, you will also see an integrations tab. So again, anybody on Pro or Performance, individual or business, can use Smart Documents.
I'll add one more thing here. If you are on a individual account and you are a corporate flight department, charter operation, a group, and you'd like to ease up one single payment, we have volume discounts, some added support to the business accounts. We're happy to help you with that if you reach out, and it's a really simple switch to get to the business accounts with us.
All right, here's another question. Is there a way to sync a subset of the documents to certain users or iPads from the admin side? And I'll quickly start the answer for that, and anyone else who wants to can add to it. But I would say there isn't a specific way right now to limit certain documents or folders to specific users. So anything you put in your cloud document folder will be generally accessible to everyone. But the way that you would accomplish this split between different users who may be serving different roles is, like I said before, instructing the pilots who need certain documents to only download those documents, while pilots who maybe need another set of documents should only download the folders containing those documents. So as Ben said, when we introduced these big new document capabilities a year or two ago, this was one of the big things, because adding support for folders within your cloud documents drive really allows your pilots to specialize a bit more in terms of which documents they're downloading. So they're not having to get all those documents that maybe they don't need to see, and rather only download the folders that they really do need. One more question that's sort of related to that one. Is there any capability to force a folder to be downloaded to all organization iPads? So similar to the previous one.
Sorry,
Oh,
Sam.
yes.
I was just
Go
going to say
ahead.
yes. So when we connect the Dropbox, we had those options, and you can check the box as the admin for automatic downloads. So once that happens, like I said, they don't have to go in and find those documents and download them. They will show up just like a chart download, and they will automatically be on those devices. And Ben or Sam, I don't know if you had something to add to that.
No, that's one of the great parts about it is the peace of mind knowing that if you drop it in that folder, that it's going to get to all your pilots. So yeah, absolutely, that's one of the core components of this feature. Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on to the next one. Here's a question about the compliance feature. Regarding the compliance option, does it simply show you who's current or expired in the admin panel? Does it warn users of this, or is the app going to download missing data automatically?
So Ben, I don't know if you want to add to this, but I don't believe right now
Sure.
we will warn you. Usually we'll prompt you to download those charts. So as long as you're connected to the internet, another thing I would encourage everyone to do is turn on automatic downloads in your settings
Absolutely.
under more,
Mm-hmm.
so that you're just automatically downloading the updates all the times, every time you have ForeFlight open and connected to the internet. It is primarily just a place for you to come and check and confirm as the admin that everyone is up to date, but there
Yeah,
is not
exactly.
necessarily a pop-up.
It's just a visibility for the admin, exactly, Caitlin. And you can go into the organization tab within the master parent account and click on those devices to see specifically, does this pilot's iPhone have all the up-to-date documents? Does his iPad? But currently no messaging, I guess automatically was the question to those pilots. So it leaves it in the hand of the company.
All right, we'll go ahead and do one more here. Can documents be exported from ForeFlight to other apps on an iPad for editing, note-taking, highlighting, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go ahead and jump in here. A really popular use case for this is, taking a ForeFlight nav log and exporting that directly into, like a DocuSign, using that same share feature we mentioned. If you need to get a signature digitally, that's one option to do so. But there's dozens of hundreds of other apps that would you can export the ForeFlight docs from. You can also let there was the options to allow the pilots to share those documents or to not share those documents. So that would need to be checked to permit them from not, sharing or exporting company sensitive documents. So you have a lot of control over how you want the document library to be shared and utilized within this portal.
All right. There's one more question here, which will actually lead us into our outro. Will this webinar recording be available for later viewing? And the answer to that is yes, absolutely. Any of the webinars in our ForeFlight on frequency series will be available if you just go to foreflight.com/on-frequency, no space between those two, or you can put a hyphen, foreflight.com/on-frequency. Go there. That is where you can see all of our upcoming webinars, and you can register for any of those so you can see them later. And if you just keep scrolling down on that page, you will find embedded videos of all of our previous webinars that we've done as part of this series. So right now there's just the one webinar we did last week with Thomas, but this webinar that we're doing right now should be available there for viewing by sometime tomorrow. So if you had to step away from your computer for a bit, or if a friend of yours wanted to join this webinar but they couldn't, just point them to that webpage and they can go and view this webinar and any of the other ones we've done. So with that, I want to thank everyone so much for joining. I'm really glad that we're getting some good attendance with these. I know that a lot of people have a lot of extra time on their hands all of a sudden, and so I'm glad that we can help them fill in that time with some really useful information about ForeFlight so they can make better use of the product. As you can see on your screen here, you can download the pilot's guide for answers to many of the most common questions. You can view it online, or you can download it from the documents catalog like Caitlin showed you during this webinar. you just go to Documents and then you go to that ForeFlight drive and it will be available there. We also have many videos apart from just webinars at foreflight.com/videos. These are generally feature videos. Every time we release important new features, we always make videos for them so you can understand how to use them. But we do also have other recorded videos like courses that we recorded last year at Oshkosh, for example. So lots of really great resources that you can utilize there. If anything in this webinar has made you interested in maybe upgrading your ForeFlight subscription or starting a new one if you're not an existing customer, you can contact sales at any time. Just email sales@foreflight.com and they can, of course, answer any questions you have and help you preview some of these features like not just cloud documents, but also dispatch or ForeFlight performance or anything that you've seen so far. And like I said, you can sign up for more webinars at foreflight.com/onfrequency. Now, right after this webinar closes, there will be a very short survey. So if anyone wants to take it, it wouldn't take more than 15 seconds, most likely, depending on how much detail you want to provide. But please do fill that out once this is over. It includes a question asking what webinar topics you would be interested in watching in the future. So if that's information you'd like to provide us and help us decide what we should do next, please go ahead and fill out that survey. And thank you so much for attending.